And welcome back to Geek Out and Say. We're here live at Multiverse Games. We're live. Yay! I'm here with, again, it's been a while, but you've been on before, Will Gaskins.
Hi, everybody. It's been
formerly of Tabletop Generals.
Yeah, maybe you may recognize me if you've been watching the show for 3 years.
You noticed I put on my pants?
Excellent. In
As
homage.
In a homage, I did.
Yeah.
I did. I had to go dig these out. I was like, I'm wearing these, baby.
Yeah, well, the camo's out now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm bringing it back, baby.
No, so Multiverse Games, this is our grand opening this weekend at 739 West Hildebrand. And so you guys are live streaming from the Wild West gaming room.
Yeah, this is super awesome.
And hopefully you can actually see us behind the camera, Stuart, because you couldn't before.
Yes.
Last night it was all black.
It was all black last week. We're having some technical
But he could see all the comments that were coming up, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So this is really great. You've got it Wild West. Y'all can see some of the decor behind us, but you can't see some of the other stuff. I really like the little miniatures setup that you have over here. You want to talk about that really quick? Because I think that's really cute.
Yeah, no, well, for the grand opening, we're running events all weekend long. And one of the events we're running is a Wild West shootout at the OK Corral, and we're doing it as a walk-up and play tomorrow, all day long, and it's geared towards little kids. We're using a rule set called Big Battles for Little Hands by a guy named Buck Surdu, who's an old hand at writing war games.
Nice.
So I've got all these really cool Wild West minis in this really cool little Wild West town, and I know that kids love playing with stuff, and we want to make sure that people know that Multiverse Games, you're welcome to bring your kids here. I've got a child's painting station set up and a kids play area with like puzzles and coloring books and stuff, so you can come game if you're
That's really cool, because I've never seen a game store here in town much anywhere that is kid friendly like yours is.
Aside from Tiffany's and Coppell, it's not really something that you see, so I was really glad to see that, because when we were growing up and our 3 kids were growing up, it was a lot of like gaming at your house, and you didn't get to leave your house ever because you had to have your kids there. So to have a friendly place where you can bring your kids, where there's somebody who's knowledgeable about games, so that maybe you can teach the kids and the grown-ups so they can go back, because they could go back and go to the Dollar Tree and buy little Cowboys and Indians, and once they know how to play,
exactly, you know, and valuable. I mean, I'm a dad myself. I got 2 little ones, so it's important for me to let people know that you know, as long as your kid is not tearing the walls down, they're welcome here, you know. We're not a babysitting service. Don't drop them off.
Yeah.
You know, like your son is going to the bathroom on the floor over
Unless they have like a wad of money
that
they're going to give you.
Yes.
You're like, let me change my babysitter.
I'll sit there and play with them all afternoon, you know, for in exchange for currency. No, so we're kid friendly. We've got 2 private gaming rooms. It's $5 a head an evening for the private gaming room. So if you want to set up your D&D campaign and you don't want to be bothered, and there's like 4 of you, you plunk $20 down and you got the room for the whole evening.
Nice.
We've also got a very large open gaming area. We have the Game Expo board game library.
Yes, we brought it here.
So
it's awesome.
Like 70 games that you can just pull off the shelf and play. We got concessions for sale. You're welcome to bring alcohol if you're of age and acting responsibly. And if you become irresponsible, I will remove you from the premises. The drunk toss.
Yes.
But and then we have a full retail section too, covering collectible card games, board games, role-playing games, miniature war games, and we have a bunch of used games too. So
yeah, and you have access to get pretty much anything. So if people try something with their friends here, they can just kind of let you know, and
certainly
you have access to kind of track that down.
Yeah, no, I mean we've got anything that's being published right now I can get, and I've got pretty good connections to get stuff that is like, say you wanted a copy of the Star Trek role-playing game from FASA, which is out of publication forever. I might be able to get it, you know. I've actually got a copy of that right now. But
or let's say you went to get a copy of the organization.
Yes, a signed copy.
A signed copy of the organization.
Or apt.
It's
on the shelf as well. And that brings up another valid point. We have fine games from PJ Games on our shelves, but we also have some other fine games written by San Antonians and Texans. And
that's really cool, yeah.
So we want to make sure we support independent game publishers.
Because there's a lot out there that you really don't think about, and there's more coming here in San Antonio. And we've really, since we've been doing Game Expo, we've really found out that there's really a drive for people wanting to create tabletop games.
Yeah, no, it's huge right now. And I really am all about, okay, so people know about Dungeons & Dragons. Mm-hmm. People know about Warhammer 40K. Mm-hmm. People know about, Pathfinder and Magic the Gathering. Go figure, there's like thousands of other games.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to
There's more than Monopoly,
we have Monopoly too.
Well, let me ask
That's my favorite game.
Will, because I think this is sometimes important for people that are gamers. This is not your first rodeo when it comes to gaming. It's not like you've never been a gamer before and you're just stepping into this. I have met people that I've met at other cons and people in the industry, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, like something with Will Gaskins or whatever, and they're like, oh my god, I totally know Will Gaskins too. So it's not like this is your first foray into the gaming world.
No, I have been a vendor at cons for 6 years, right? 6, 5, 6?
6, I think.
6, yeah.
Yeah, before my daughter was born. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And so it was called Tabletop Generals. And my first con was at CamaraCon. Mm-hmm. Yep. I met you guys through Geekdom about...
Well, you met me through Geekdom.
You through Geekdom, and then I met you through him.
Yes.
And then you guys invited me to CamaraCon. Yeah. I went, we killed it, we had a blast, and that was our first convention and the last CamaraCon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we cursed it, sorry.
That's okay, you just helped us move in a different direction.
Yeah.
And then so we've been going to conventions ever since then. Game Expo, which we just did 3 weeks ago? 2?
Whatever. Like 2 weeks
ago,
yeah.
And the weekend after that we did Millennium Con in Round Rock, which is the Lone Star Historical Mentor Society, which is a fantastic con if you're a minis gamer. Round Rock is just north of Austin. It is wonderful. It's a bunch of old war gamers, and they're awesome. Mm-hmm. And then we do...
And then you can go to IKEA along the way.
You can go to IKEA on the way.
Yeah.
Alcon in Houston. We do Broadside in Houston on the USS Texas, which is awesome.
That's super awesome.
Just because of the location.
And you know how to actually play these games.
Yeah, most of them.
And show people how to play games,
so
which is always a benefit.
If there's a game you want to play, say All Quiet on the Martian Front, my all-time favorite game.
That is your favorite. Oh my god, people love that game too.
You're welcome to come in, and we've got store armies, and we'll get more store armies. And so if you're like, hey, I've been interested in AQMF, I'm like, you want to be the tripods of the humans? Let's go. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's good for minis because if people don't know, minis are kind of an investment. So I think that's good to get the chance to play them with somebody before you make that investment, and you go, oh, hey, I really do like this game. I've seen, and then you have.
And it's more of, and it's not just an investment in money; it's an investment in time as well. It's really a craft if you want to do it from start to beginning. If you want to learn how to paint the minis and modify the minis,
it's a whole hobby.
Yeah,
and so some people want to get all in. Mm-hmm. And they want to paint the minis and and customize them in various ways and sculpt and do all this other stuff. But there are games out there. Wings of Glory is the one that comes to mind. It's a World War I dogfighting game, which is a lot of fun and easy to learn. And those minis come pre-painted. Mm-hmm. So if you're not like a hobby model builder, painter kind of person, or that intimidates you, there's also options where you can basically just take it out of the box and start playing. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, then there's plenty of board games. And now board games and miniature games are kind of like crossing over. You see, like X-Wing and Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those, those are is it a board game or is it a minis game? It's kind of...
Like that, what was it, Code War World that we saw at Game Expo. That was really cool. Yeah. That's kind of a crossover between a board game and a mini.
And then there's crossover with RPGs and minis too. With everybody using the figures for D&D, that's something that I'm not used to. That I'm still not sure if I'm down with all of that because I like Imagination Town to be more free and stuff. But some people really like to have that.
But even back in the day, they would still use minis.
Stranger Things, man.
Yeah.
The Demigorgon. Yeah. And role-playing games, we got plenty of those too. And we've got regular games running here at the store. And we're going to finalize our schedule for what's happening on what night after the grand opening. We've been so
Are you going to have it on the website?
Yeah, I know it'll be on Facebook, and there'll be regular events.
I know you have a Multiverse Games page, but you also have a group, right?
Yeah, Citizens of the Multiverse.
Okay.
Now, anyone is welcome to join Citizens of the Multiverse, in addition to liking Multiverse games, and that's the community page. So if you're looking for players, like, I want to play old school AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons from like the 80s. And who else wants to play? You know, you could throw that in Citizens of the Multiverse, and then I'll see it, and I'll message in that thread and be like, okay, well, I can put you guys in the Wild West room Wednesdays at 8. Does that work for you? You know, and then we'll create the event, and how many players do you want, and so forth and so. I've been gaming since I was like 10, and now that I have a physical location, myself and my business partners, we really want to, you know, we're gamers. You know, I've got some business experience and all that, but at my heart, I've always been a gamer, and so I've tried to design this store to be a store where gamers will want to go and hang out and be at.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're gonna sell you the games, but we also want you to come and play the games here. And so our room rental rates are going to be low. We're going to be inexpensive on concessions. You know, it's $1 a soda.
Yes, that was a cool thing that I saw, just like $1 a soda. I was like, that's amazing, because, you know, people come in, a lot of times they get gouged. I was like, oh, you're going to pay $2.50 for a soda. I'm like, no.
You know, you're welcome to bring food in, you know, as long as you don't, like, make a big mess with it, you know, and just be friendly and nice and come on in and have a good time. And that's the, you know, it's the whole point. And I think that we've got a lot of positive feedback and no negative feedback so far.
And if you're an adult, you get to
you can bring alcohol, and as long as you're responsible with it.
Well, you have an outdoor patio area.
Oh, we've got a big outdoor patio. So if you're a smoker, there's tables back there, and you can game outside if it's nice.
Space for LARPing too.
LARPing,
yeah.
And we're gonna get a fire pit out there for when it gets cooler,
nice.
And we'll, you know, have s'mores going on probably, and you know.
So people are watching right now, and it's live, and they're here in San Antonio. What time are you open till tonight?
Okay,
and
well, tonight,
what are we doing here tonight?
Let's see. We got a Warhammer 40K shootout that's happening right now with some awesome prize support for it. It's a $5 entry. It's probably in progress already. So if you're watching right now and you're like, oh, I got a Tau army, I'm on my way. Maybe the next one, because it's a little bit late. But we got people playing Werewolf. We got, of course, the Board Games Library. There's Wings of Glory being played right now on Walk Up. And then you're welcome to come in and play any game you want. You know, if time permitting, I'd love to jump into a Rifts game or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I've been bugging about Rifts. Somebody play Rifts with this man.
So broken, so fun.
So broken.
You know, we're open to, okay, so our store hours, Monday and Tuesday is our weekend. I'm playing with my kids Monday and Tuesday. We're not at the store. Wednesday, we open at 2, and we close at 10. Thursday, 2 to 10. Friday, 2 to midnight. Saturday, noon to midnight. Sunday, noon to 8. So there's like 3 different things. It's all on the Facebook. I know, we'll get used to it. We might end up opening up Tuesdays and Mondays just depending on demand, but to get started, we want to play it safe.
Yeah.
We need a little downtime.
I like that till midnight because that's totally a gamer thing. Just from like going to the cons and stuff, we've had to explain to hotels like, you don't understand.
They're gonna want to stay up all night long.
About 8 p.m. we're hitting our peak stride.
That's right.
You know?
We're good to go.
And then that fourth wind.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
caffeine really just gets down into your veins at that point.
And then about 3 a.m.
People start falling over.
Yeah, that's when we're
and
tired.
you just Febreze them right there, and they're fine.
They're fine.
Kick them up in the morning.
That's right.
It's where you drink your Coke and then say goodnight to everybody.
And then, like, you say goodnight for, like, another hour and a half, and then right, because then you're talking about, like, all the cool stuff that happened in the game, and, oh, shoot, what if we had done this, and, oh, yeah, we remember when we used to do this?
You go hit the continental breakfast, and then you go home.
Yep.
No, well, I'm so glad you guys are live streaming here. I kind of want to jump back out and see what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
That's a thing, so we're going to let you go.
Yeah.
Come check us out, 739 West Hildebrand, and you can find us on Facebook. Yes, we are Multiverse Games, so it is Facebook, /Multiverse Games.
Yeah, and it's on our Facebook too. So if you need to know, we put your site and everything on there.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
It's
Thank
good
you.
To see you, Will. All right.
Awesome.
Still showtime. That was good.
Yeah.
Will's always good on the show, so it's nice to have Will
Yes.
on. So, do you want to move the chair or leave the chair?
Let's move the chair.
All right. I thought move the chair would be good. So we're gonna situate a little bit.
It's out of the way, right? Get
Hi, honey.
nice and cozy. Hi, how's it going?
Good. So I have things.
We never get to sit this close.
I know. Yeah, you're
Well,
too close. No, I'm just kidding.
Even last week we didn't sit this close.
No, because the chairs were
It's
just already
a little
kind of
too
set
far,
up,
yeah.
and we just kind of did
I
our
was like,
thing.
yeah, that works.
And Stuart's going to come in closer. I like our producer. So I actually brought something else that I wanted to talk about tonight. I know that we're still trying to do this whole compartmentalizing of episodes.
Yeah.
And
So we're at the grocery store, and then you picked that up.
We were at the grocery store, and I was looking at the smut magazines, and I don't like them, but I saw that I was like, oh, that's terrible. Why do people believe all that? And then I saw this, and so this is by
Would you call it smut though?
That's what I call them, smut magazines. I don't know what else you call them. That's what my parents
like
called them when I was growing up.
Smut?
Yeah.
But isn't smut like dirty stuff?
Yeah, like you're slinging dirt. Like they're talking about like.
No, I mean like dirty stuff.
Oh, gross. I
don't know. Isn't that smutty? Wouldn't you say?
No? I don't think so. No, it just means like that. It's like.
Like National Enquirer, I think is like junk. I don't call it smut.
I don't know. My parents used to call it smut. It just meant like that. It was like.
Trash.
Like trash.
Trash.
Yeah, like it was like a junk magazine. This is not junk though. So this I believe just came out this week.
Yeah.
Because I have a problem.
Well, I don't know. Does it have a date on there?
I didn't see the date on it. I don't go to HEB like a normal human being. Like I go and then I forget half the things, and then I go a couple of days later, and then I forget more things, and then I go.
Well, it says display until 2/9/18.
Okay. Well, that's when they're supposed to display it till supposedly, but you might not find it if people start to see it. So this
it's really
is
cool.
the Rise of the Superhero. It's really cool. One of the things I liked about it is all the different images that are in it are really great. Even on the back, you have really great images. The other thing I liked is there's remembering Adam West. I know people thought Batman was campy and they hated it, but I thought Adam West was great.
Yeah, but a lot of people that grew up on it really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
I watched
because it wasn't necessarily
wasn't
necessarily the comic book fans that kind of took a liking to that, and that it was the comic book fans that had more of a problem with it.
And then there's a foreword by Stan Lee, which I liked because it's Stan, and so I don't know, everybody has this connection to Stan. And then I liked it that they talked about kind of the progression of comics, sort of by decade, mostly by decade. There's a couple of decades that they lumped together because of things that went on, and they talk about what's going on in the country and what changes some of the way comic books are viewed.
Colleen's doing a magazine talk.
I am doing a magazine
like she does
talk.
on her channel with her book talk.
Well, I'm going to do a book talk for our channel too because I just finished Speaker for the Dead, so I'm going to do that book talk because that's more of a geeky book. But I don't know. I loved this when I picked it up. I haven't read it yet, but it made me think of something that we had talked about just recently about this mainstreaming.
Mm-hmm.
This mainstreaming of comics and superheroes and I had put that article up about the Galaxy Quest show that they're going to do, and they're showing more fandom.
But this is Life, right?
Life magazine.
I thought Life wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it still a thing?
Yeah.
Didn't it stop for a while? I thought it stopped for a while.
I don't know, maybe it had been bought out by somebody else, but no,
But Life used to be a lot bigger.
I pick these up all the time when they have these special issues, especially for my students, because they'll have things like on the human brain and stuff like that, but I don't know, I really love this. I haven't read the whole thing, so I can't give you a whole... These are the real Ninja Turtles right there. I can't give you like a whole overview of it, but I just think that if this is something that you're interested in, if you're into this type of fandom, this is something really cool to pick up. And it was interesting to see it there in just HEB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's what, like $13?
It's like $13, so it's a little more pricey than some other things, but I think that it's totally worth it. And I've read little bits of it. Like I kind of skimmed some of the excerpts, and I think that it's worth the read and it's worth the images inside of it. So
very nice.
But I think it just comes back to, and it does show a lot of that. It does talk about the controversy that they had where it's kind of the controversy that we have now with video games, where video games make kids violent, and they've tried to bring that up in juvenile cases.
Since we're here at Multiverse Games, they used to say the same thing about Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. That we were worshiping the devil and doing all these rituals. Oh my God, my mom was so scared. Like, we were not allowed to play. I had to play in the living room while she watched over it. It was really weird. It was a thing. Unless I went and I didn't tell her we were playing, which totally happened lots of times. But anyway, if she knew we were going to play, we were playing at my house in the living room with her watching, making sure we weren't worshiping the devil. But
doing rituals behind your back with dice.
But I like how this shows how they were trying to make comic books seem evil. And Stan even talks about how he listened to the concerns of parents at the time, and they increased the vocabulary that was in the comic books to a college level so that they would be increasing the reading level of students, and that it wouldn't just be what parents thought was fluff or just pictures or just like reading a picture book. Yeah. That they were actually getting real context clues and they were getting real dialogue.
So was that back when it was like Timely Comics?
Yeah.
So because Marvel was not named Marvel back in the day, it was Timely.
Until I had read this either. Yeah. That wasn't something that I knew, and so I was like, Timely, what is that? And then he says that they become Marvel. So yeah, I didn't know that. So this is a really good history if this is a fandom that you're starting to get into, and maybe because it's mainstream, you want to get into the comic book fandom, I think this is another good way to kind of see that history. If you're a history buff, this is another really good thing to see how the history of America kind of ties into that same timeline of the progression of superheroes and where we've gone. It obviously talks about women, so that has been, a new thing for a lot of people is...
But even back then, she was a strong character, Linda Carter with the Wonder Woman.
They, objected to the way she was dressed and the way that she was,
and she was probably a bit more clothed than the one we have now.
Probably. I don't know. My dad thought she was cool, and I always liked the ching, ching, ching. I always liked that. We watched that show when I was growing up, so for me that was really cool.
I used to watch that. I used to watch the live-action Spider-Man. Those were really cool.
I was screaming when we were watching the stupid DC Legends of Tomorrow, and they take Helen of Troy to the mascara, and I was like, I know what that is. I was like, I know where they're taking her. So that was really cool that they take her from being an anomaly and take her over there so that she can. That opinion of Helen of Troy being like, look, I don't want to be part of this war. This is just like these men battling over me, and I'm not even a person anymore. I'm just this thing that they've locked up somewhere. So to show that female aspect too, I think is something different than what they normally would have shown.
Black and Silver Diamond asked whether it's more of a superhero book or a comic book.
That's a good question. I think the two are really linked together, but I do think that it is more of a superhero book. It does really talk about where the word superhero came from, who are considered superheroes, why we have supervillains. So I do think that it is more of a superhero book, but they are tied together because comics are the medium that they use. Nowadays, movies are the medium.
Kind of like the background, like, what was it? Mr. Glass was talking about how we saw things in the past, how you had like monsters that you would talk about, and like Dracula and vampires and stuff like that, and how it progressed from that to the super villains and having
and even
super abilities.
To like fairy tales and things that we kind of grow up with. Stan Lee makes a connection to that in his foreword, talking about, these were all stories that we grew up with as children, and especially back when he was growing up, right? You're growing up with those fairy tales and you're hearing those stories. Right. And so then this just seemed like a natural progression for them because they didn't want to leave the fairy tales behind, but they were kind of too old for fairy tales almost. So this kind of became their way to move forward with fairy tales, because everything in a fairy tale is like larger than life, and that's what you think of when you think of superheroes. They're larger than life. And then because of things like the Depression and stuff, people just needed something to attach themselves to bring them some kind of happiness, to kind of help them through Then when we're talking about the different world wars, again, we're talking about supervillains that we've added in, and, you know, Captain America's punching Hitler, and it's that way to connect to the everyday man and help them deal with some of the things that were going on. So they kind of
because mostly comic books started out as mostly like mysteries. And
before the superheroes.
Before the superheroes.
And they had horror was a big thing too. The horror genre was really big before they had superheroes. So superhero is something like that has only been invented. The word, I think they said, within the last 80 years. So it's still, when you think of the span of human history, it's still pretty new.
Yeah.
Which
older than us, but
older than us. But it's interesting how people in the fandom and how geeks really have attached themselves to this, and this has become like a really big part of who some of us are and who we connect to. And I think some of it is because...
And it's mainstream more than any other fandom, I think.
Yeah, because I'll still say tabletop games and people don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big
They're
time.
like, well, what does that mean? But if I said superheroes, if I said Superman, if I said Batman, people would be like, oh, I know what that is.
Spider-Man.
Right? Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
People know who that is. And then some of that is like merchandising and stuff too, but some of it
And we just saw Thor, but Thor was an awesome movie.
Hilarious.
It was the funniest.
The funniest, but like I thought that... Now I lost... It's not the Fantastic Four because they're stupid and I hate them. With the Rocket Raccoon and the...
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that was like the comedy line, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, they're the comedy line.
And it was supposed to be, but
Dude,
this
Thor
one
and
is,
Hulk, they slay me.
Yeah.
They slay me over and over and over again. The writers did such a good job.
Really good job on that one.
Hilarious. Like, I just died. I would totally go watch that one again. Like, it was super great. So,
because we probably missed a bunch of stuff between the laughter.
Probably. And I wonder if it's as political, like, as I see in this, if there's as many ties to it. We see it in the TV shows. You and I notice all the time in the TV shows, the jabs at things that are going on in the political world right now, or things that are going on, you know, social justice type things that are going on right now. We see it in the shows.
Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really does it.
They're pretty heavy-handed with it. There was another show that we were just watching the other day.
It was Designated Survivor.
Well,
that's another one. Yeah,
that one's about the presidency. They make jabs all the time.
Like
big
big jabs, huge ones.
I thought it was Flash or Arrow or something. I don't think it was Arrow. Arrow hasn't been real.
I've been kind of disappointed in Arrow recently.
Thank the Lord, because me too. And I was gonna say something, but then I thought we were gonna have this argument
because now Diggle is the Green Arrow.
Right. Spoiler. Sorry. Oliver's not the Green Arrow anymore. It's Diggle, because Oliver's trying to take care of his kid.
But that's got to change at some point.
It's ridiculously horrible. Like like horrible. I need Oliver to go out there and be his very grumpy vigilante self, and all this lovey squishy stuff is like not him. I don't.
But we get to see Deathstroke.
So Deathstroke was interesting.
He's an interesting character, and he's kind of like an anti-hero.
Which I think that's what he's supposed to be like. So that was interesting.
In case y'all didn't know who Deathstroke was.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I thought you were telling me like I didn't know.
No.
I was like, no, I kind of know. I forget.
You know why we do this show.
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, sometimes we're just here talking and I forget about everybody else. So
sometimes I do it just to jab at her. Sometimes.
I've been not super happy with Arrow. The Flash was funny this week. I
like Plastic Man.
I love Harry. I love Harrison Wells.
Yeah.
I love Harrison Wells. I am so glad they figured out a way to keep him in the show.
Yeah.
And give him all of these different personalities from the different Earths. He is another one who slays me. He just cracks me up. He is too
But aren't you digging Plastic Man?
I want to punch Plastic Man in his stupid plastic face for it to go like he is horrible. He's a horrible human being. Like he's the worst. I don't know why you like him. Like he's a terrible human being.
Because he's comic relief.
Because he's a terrible human being.
But he's comic relief.
I don't like him. I mean, I get that he's comic relief, and I get that like he's the new derpy superhero. And he
because
doesn't know
most
how
of
to
their
be.
humor is really dry, except with him.
So it was pretty funny when he and Barry are talking about like this guy tries to mug him, so Barry's like, okay, this is your chance to like practice your superhero stuff, and they're talking about it for so long that the mugger gets ticked off at them, so he shoots them. Well, he shoots Plastic Man, and the bullet just bounces back and shoots him back. But then Barry gets mad at him, and he's like, dude, he shot me, it's not my fault, like bounced back off of me. And then the stupid mugger does it again, and shoots himself in the rear end, which is kind of funny. So that was that part was pretty funny, yeah. I forgot about that until you just said. So yes, The Flash is really funny. You should watch that because it's like super hilarious and funny. Yeah. DC Legends of Tomorrow is up and down. It's kind of a roller coaster. It's like sometimes they have a good episode, sometimes not so great, sometimes it's really good, sometimes you're like, oh god. So,
and I stopped watching Orville. I'm still recording them.
We're still recording them,
and
but we haven't watched any of them. I was really disappointed in it the last couple of times that we actually watched it, so I haven't been able to really get back into it. You know what we did see? So we were watching Grey's Anatomy yesterday because that's one of my faves. And they had the newest Star Wars trailer.
Oh,
neither one of us were breathing. Like, by the end of the trailer, we both, like, we had to breathe because
it was, like, intense.
It's so intense. Like, I'm going to lose my mind when we go see that movie. Like,
they just released just enough.
Dude, and it like,
to make you crazy.
Your heart apart, right? You're like, this cannot be happening. Oh, my God. And like, when I was a little girl growing up, there weren't as many female characters that I really related to. I never wanted to be a female character. I wanted to be Apollo from Battlestar Galactica. I wanted to be Han Solo. Han Solo was the one that I always wanted to be. And for me, Rey is it.
Who'd you want to be from the A-Team?
Murdoch. Crazy Murdoch, because he gets to be insane and he gets to act like all stupid, but then like he does this amazingly genius stuff.
It was always Hannibal for me.
Really, it wasn't Face Man?
No, it wasn't Face Man. It was Hannibal.
You're pretty hot, so.
It was always Hannibal.
Really, Hannibal? Why? Because he's the leader?
Yeah.
No, but Murdoch was like so much fun and he was crazy.
He was crazy, yeah.
It would come together and it would like all be cool and I don't know. Yeah, I totally loved Murdoch. He was my guy. I even had a little doll. And he was like the son of my fake Barbie. Her name was Darcy. She was the model. And then my Superman doll. And then he was their son. Because he was little. My figure was little. I didn't have any boy dolls. So the superheroes had to be. Mork was the other son, but his leg broke, so he was disabled, and he had a prosthetic leg that I fashioned with, like, pins and stuff. They had to take care of him.
We're making Stuart laugh.
Sorry, this is my sad existence. When you live in poverty, this is what it's like. And, like, we had a few figures. We could get, like, figures every once in a while. They weren't always, like, the really, you would get the G.I. Joe figures, but they were, like, characters nobody had ever heard of because they were, like, cheap or whatever. And then if you left them outside, your parents couldn't afford new ones. So they would be, like, melted or the dog would chew them or whatever. So then they just became the ones that, like, got hurt in, like, the fight or whatever. And then they would always have to go to the hospital and the other figures were, like, trying to drag them out of battle and stuff. I don't know. We used our imagination. We made stuff up like it was a thing. So. And
you can use your imagination here at Multiverse Games playing RPGs.
Oh, I love RPGs. I played D&D last week after the show last week. It was good, people. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, you showed off some of your
I showed off whatever it's going to be called.
Your new whatever. Yeah. I haven't decided a title for it, but it's going to be fun.
I like that title. Whatever it's going to be called.
Whatever it's going to be called.
Whatever.
Hey, they have a game that's literally called We Didn't Play Test This Game, so if they can get away with that, we can get away with whatever this game's going to be called.
And the other game that's called We Didn't Test This Game Either.
Yep. So if they can get away with that kind of stuff, then we can get away with ours. So, how much time do we have, Stuart? Because I don't want to go over.
You've got plenty of time.
Okay.
Good.
Geek Hoodie says hello to.
Oh, hi, Hoodie.
Hey, Hoodie. It's been a while since he's been on.
Yeah, he's been busy, so.
So yeah, nice.
You know how that gets.
Thanks for watching us.
I really like the little western town that he has over here. I know y'all can't see it, but it's really cute. It looks like, well, no, he told me it's a playset from the 90s. But it looks like they remodeled it after this playset that my dad had, actually from the 60s. And it looks, it's like a little plastic playset, and it has the hotel and the little saloon and the barn and stuff like that. I don't know.
And this is a nice little room. And this is like a room that you can come and play in.
This is one of the ones that you can rent, so that you can have the private space. You can close the door so that you're not, because we had to close the door because we could hear everybody, because gamers tend to be loud. So we could hear everybody in the other room like laughing about their games, and just like
having a lot of fun.
Earlier, after you play the game, then you got to tell stories about the game that you just played, because that's a thing, which I always thought was hilarious. But I still partake in those stories because you're like, remember that thing we just did 5 minutes ago? Oh my god, that was so awesome!
Yeah.
I think that's totally a gamer trait. We used to pick on our kids for doing that because they would do stuff like that too. Remember when? Well, dude, we did it 5 minutes ago. Yes, I remember. I was there. Well. I lost my.
But our stuff was more epic.
Our stuff was more epic. Yeah. That's why we could talk about it. I have had some epic things happen in a game. My brother is. I'm sorry, Clark, if you're watching, but I know you're not because you're not a geek. My brother is not a geek. He is Mr. Sports Guy. He is, 6'4". He's that guy, right? He never got my whole world, but bless his heart, he tried a few times. So we convinced him one time to play D&D, but everybody thought that
you got him to play D&D?
Yes. But they made him a gnome character. So he was a gnome because he's so giant and he was so muscly and everything that we thought, okay, he's going to be this little gnome. Well, he just had one of those nights where he was rolling like natural 20, natural 20. Nice. He took down this giant boss that was supposed to kill us all with a returning frying pan. So it was like a frying pan that had been given magic spell, and it would boomerang back.
I think everybody has played that character at some point. With that returning frying pan.
But he was just rolling perfectly, and the rest of us were stinking up, and it would be his turn, and he'd be like, "Can I throw the pan again?" And we're like, "Throw the pan! Throw the pan!" So that was the only time he ever played D&D, and he was like, "Yeah, it was pretty cool," but but he didn't really. It was never his thing.
You'd be surprised if people that you can get to actually pay and they actually enjoy it. I mean, if you look at like Vin Diesel is an avid D&D player.
Well, think about Tim Duncan. Like,
Tim Duncan,
superstar in sports, and that's just his thing. I think just some of us, it's our thing, right? That imagination, that carrying that storyline. I had a really good time with D&D last week. It was the first time that I had played with Theo, who was the GM, and he gets all the Adventurers League, D&D Adventurers League stuff together for Game Expo. And I have played with DMs before that just read from the book. Because if you've never played a role-playing game, they have like a manual, and it tells you like these are monsters you can use, and these are storylines that you can use. And so I've been with those.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I hate it. They literally just read the storyline. They don't add any flair to it or whatever. So he was really good. He was adding flair. He was doing goblin voices, and he was like making up goblin speak and stuff like that. So it was like the more you do that kind of stuff, the more fun it is to play that kind of game, which I think is why it's fun to play with kids, and a lot of us started when we were like 10, 12, because you're still in that cusp of imagination, so you can still make the silly voices, you can still be the silly character. A lot of the times when I play a male character because I like that swagger, and I like that attitude, and I usually play a fighter, so they're like no nonsense, and
or sometimes she likes to be Russian.
I do. I have a Russian character, and I pretend I have a Russian accent.
A Russian man.
And he used to be a Russian gangster, and he was a mob enforcer, and then he turned to be a spy in this game that we play. And
I remember one time when I was GMing, I tried to do a Australian accent, and that's like hard to do to keep it going.
No, it's not.
It's like I can do it all
for me.
every day. Vincent, just listen to the Outback commercials on repeat.
That he used to do.
Show your face.
Yes.
I used to do all the San Antonio and Texas Outback radio spots.
Are you serious? That is the most awesome thing I've ever heard.
No, it was the worst.
You're like, that's so awful.
Yeah, it sucked being an Australian working in the Outback Steakhouse in America and just lying about everything, but I got good tips.
You're like, this is totally what we do in Australia. We always eat blooming
onions.
The natives carry around those big fryers just to fry up an onion that's not really native to Australia.
That's fine. Like, you're like, we don't even have onions.
You know, we have Vegemite.
Have some Vegemite. You want to try something? Go for that. You know, I've always wanted to do one of those one of these days we've got to do that. Like, all get together and do, like, a themed, like, dinner party. Like, come up with something and, like, make food that has to go with it and drinks and stuff that has to go with it. Like, I totally think that would be super awesome to do something like that.
We should, like, put something together to where we have, like, maybe we could do it here.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, have all these people, and then we'll, like, judge who has the best dish.
Like, have a cooking contest, like a Geek Out essay. Like
right here at Multiverse Games.
Games.
We'll talk to Will and see if we can make it happen.
That would be cool. Because remember how cool that was when we saw that at Disneyland and they had the pop-up restaurants for the last Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
And they made all those Star Wars themed, like, foods? I thought that was really cool. So.
Yeah.
And if you watch things enough, you'll see, like, different food items and stuff, or you can think of somebody's personality or whatever and imagine, like, what their favorite food would be. So I just think there's so many places you could take fandom and geekdom. Like, you could branch it out into
and you
so
can
much
mesh
stuff, and
together.
you can mesh things together. Like, if you really love cooking, but you love, like, all of this, like, you know, role-playing games. Maybe you talked to, like, your party had a big feast or something, or it was something like that, and then you get together and you make that big feast, you know. Or maybe you watch The Walking Dead, and there's lots of stuff, like, on Pinterest and stuff for the mainstream.
Yeah.
Like Walking Dead, Star Wars, there's lots of things that you could make. But you could even come up with stuff.
Or what have I seen, like, Mummy Dogs? If you're into, like, the horror.
Yeah, like, if you're into horror stuff, you could do all of that kind of stuff and do a themed thing.
Do it.
I think that would be really cool. Be like, oh, look, I'm going to make something about Tatooine, so I'm going to put sand in it. No, I'm just kidding. I can crumble up some graham crackers and make one of those sand cakes.
So we'll be the judges.
We'll be the judges. We'll eat all the things.
We'll eat all the things.
No, what if they're horrible? I don't want to be like Gordon Ramsay and be like spitting things out and throwing plates and cussing at people.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. That's our next segment.
Geek Out essay goes cooking.
You gotta say, goes Gordon Ramsay. Or the worst cooks in America where they're so gross. They're like, what is that? What's it supposed to be that color? Yeah, I think we could be traumatized.
Or like in Big where he's like eating the caviar and he's like...
I would totally do that. Maybe we shouldn't do this contest after all. I need to rethink
It'll
this.
be fun.
I need to rethink the rules to this. New judges.
And Stuart can bring Vegemite.
No, I won't eat it.
I gotta try it. I gotta try it because
I'll try
you
it one time just because. Because you gotta try everything like one time.
So you get it and you like put it on toast, right?
Yeah.
And that's all it's used for, just to put on toast, or is it?
I use it for a beef vegan spaghetti. My wife doesn't know that, so.
Oh, okay. Well, luckily she's busy, so she's not watching tonight.
She never watched.
So yeah, no, I'm glad we came out here to check this out. We're probably gonna go out and play some games and have some fun and maybe get some food after.
Or sneak over to see Justice League.
Justice League to see that too.
I may have to do that too. I don't know. There's too many things going on, but Game Expo is definitely so. Vincent and I also do Game Expo aside from Geek Out SA. So we are going to go to our planning meeting soon, and we're going to have all kinds of plans for 2018 of events that we're going to bring you to. So we're going to let you know on this page so that you'll know when we're out and about and when we're gaming.
And some secrets of stuff that we're going to do are going to be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah. So if y'all want to know, if y'all want to come out and play games with us and hang out, you know, we're pretty cool and awesome. So.
Yeah. I think I'd like to come here more often because it's not that far from home.
Yeah.
So.
And you want to go to Rolando's Super Taco?
I want to go.
And Tip Top Cafe.
And Tip Top.
To all the things. There's like a lot of like staples of San Antonio.
Yeah, right in this area here.
Right around this area, so definitely be something that people could
like
go
like Rolando's Super Taco is literally like just
like literally down the street in Bedoy's Bakery.
Yeah, Bedoy's is really good.
So there's a lot of things.
I just can't eat anything there.
Nope, not allowed.
I hate when that happens. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart.
Geek out, SA.